Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Minahan and her panel of guests bring you insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for soul growth. Come journey with us through astrology's energetic cycles and get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hello and greetings. I'm Sue Minahan. This is Talk Cosmos. Today we have Kaleidoscope Visions, and it's always about the major lunar phases of the month. And this month actually the Lunar New Year started on the 29th, but the Year of the Snake officially starts February 3rd. So we're right in time for this dynamic year of transformation, growth, a new signature adding to, as we know, cosmic change from every outer sky. Every outer sky. Does that make sense? From every outer planet in the sky. Thank you. Yes, sometimes, well, that's what happens. Especially, well, I'm thinking with all the mercurial things happening, it becomes quite dynamic. I'm mercurial. That's what's happening. Okay, let's begin. We're ready now for Kaleidoscope Visions.
Understanding the cosmic energies influencing our consciousness by the 4 major moon phases for the month, this is your Kaleidoscope Visions panel.
I'm Sue Minahan, founder of Talk Cosmos since 2018. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, consultant, speaker, writer, vibrational astrology student, Dwarf Planet University graduate, Kepler Astrology Toastmasters Club charter member. I have a fine arts music degree plus a certificate in jazz. I'm an artist, musician, and certified color energy life coach. Especially, I love mythology and esoteric philosophies.
I'm Amanda Pierce. I'm a soul-centered astrologer, blending intuition into my practice. I believe the universe is always working for our highest good and seek to empower my clients in our readings. I teach a 4-week series of empowerment-based meditation classes that connect you deeper into your own intuition and innate power. I work in communications with a passion for employee experience. I also have a BA in psychology. I'm passionate about healing and enjoy helping others create new realities and shift old paradigms.
And I'm John Chinworth, a Seattle astrologer with more than 25 years' experience. I use a blend of evolutionary, traditional, and archetypal techniques and constantly attend workshops and lectures to further hone my skills. I hold an MFA in poetics, an MA in teaching, and an astrological diploma. I've lectured at NORWAC and served on the WSAA board. I have worked in general and special education classrooms, both as a teacher and mentor. I also enjoy reading, penning poems, riding a bike, and going on road trips around the great state of Washington.
And like the Sufi poet Rumi says, you are the entire ocean in a drop. Yes, hello, Amanda and John. Greetings.
Hello again.
How's everybody doing?
Well, we're doing fine. Actually, that quote has another part to it, but it is most of a signature. We're in the waters, aren't we? And the waters are going between water and fire so much. We may see that here in our charts. And we shall begin. So this is Aquarius moon phases in the green wood snake year. It's the moon phases. There are 8, but we are focusing on the primary 4. And it's a clock between the luminaries, the sun that emits the light and the moon that reflects the light. And if you have comments, I'll stop or jump in. Yes, and so these 4 phases for our particular month in February 2025 began in the very end of January on the 29th at 9 degrees Aquarius, beginning, because it's the second new moon since the solstice, the winter solstice, it begins the Asian Lunar New Year, often called the Chinese Lunar New Year. And then we have the first quarter, which is coming up this week in just a few days. And it'll be, again, in a fixed sign. It's in Taurus, 16 degrees Taurus on the 5th. Then we have a week later. It's very systematic. This every week, the moon phases. On the 12th, a full moon in the polarity opposite of the new moon. It's always the way it is. And I'm saying all of this for the new people. And of course, those that know the moon understand this. But it's always good just to have this in our brain and not go over it too quickly or assume it. It will be in Leo, the sign of the sun being reflected, and it's at 24 degrees. Then the very third quarter changes its modality. It'll be in Sagittarius at 2 degrees on the 20th. We will begin. Here again is a simple graphic that shows all of those dates in its spiral of cosmic direction. Let's look at the new moon. It's a seed point. The ruler, there's 2 rulers. It'll be, the modern is Uranus, which is in Taurus. All of these add extra layers because the rulers, it's derivative versus derivative, but still the function is it's Aquarius. And Uranus is the modern ruler breaking the system, the rhythm. And then Saturn, the traditional one, which is still in Pisces. The first quarter is a crisis in action. It is action and it's a crisis. It's in action. It's what do we do? It's begun and we want to get to the full moon. It's a waxing. That means increasing. It's, and you'll see it half lit.
Whatever Oh, go ahead. Oh. Sorry. Talk at the same time. Go ahead.
Good. Join in.
I'll start. Whatever
it's a crisis.
Whatever we were seeding in that new moon, we'll start to see some issues come forward or some conflicts that need resolution. And that's where we're going to start to take some action. And this is outward action into the world.
Also, I was going to say, I've linked the moon phases to like a growth and decay of a plant. And that first quarter is the plants come up. It's like, am I going to survive all this weather? And will I get big enough to be strong? So you're doing whatever you can to maintain and keep on that course.
Beautiful. That's February 5th. It's coming up, 16 degrees, 46 Taurus, and Taurus wants to survive. So it is about self-reliance and ruled by Venus. Then the full moon, which will be in Leo, 24 degrees Leo, with the sun guiding it.
And you get this is the illumination period where the moon is the brightest it is. And so we can see as much as possible. The moon is, what's wonderful about the moon is that it allows us to see the light of the sun in a digestible way because the sun's too bright for us. So this is like the kind of like what the cosmos is trying to help us learn. And that's how the moon it's a really wonderful phase, these lunar phases to follow so that you can kind of grasp that wisdom.
Yeah.
Also, it happens, this full moon always happens in midwinter, and it's in Leo, which is like this, in the middle of winter, we get this sun thing, the moon being in the sun sign. It's like, let's be warm right now.
I love that.
It is. It's manifesting. And also, remember, in many mythologies, the moon birthed the sun. So here we have the moon reflecting the sun's light. It's a unity of manifestation. The sun and the moon really connote, or not, they don't connote, but they embody our totality of our ego, of our emotions, everything. So this is very powerful. It's a good point here in the middle of winter, at least in the northern hemisphere. Southern is different. Last off is a third quarter, a crisis in consciousness, waning, decreasing light.
Yeah,
Time to teach what you've learned, perhaps. I always think of the waxing or the waning as what have we learned from this process we've gone through? How can I share what I've learned? And how do I prepare for the next cycle?
Gestation period. That's absolutely right. Amanda?
Yeah, the sun is squaring the moon here as in the first quarter, and that squares always are times for action. And so it's that action of fully integrating all the information from this phase and learning from what we've gone through so that we can be better prepared as we move forward, and we're stepping into our wisdom.
And this one will be in a mutable sign. It bridges into the next new moon. So it's a mutable force. The other was fixed, getting it secure. Taurus, I'm here. And it's different modalities. And then now we're breaking it down and going into a mutability to adjust. Some highlights for this period would be, as it is, some out-of-bound planets that are outside the path of the sun, which is 23.44 degrees. And Mars has been out of bounds, not only retrograde in this long 7-month path, but out of bounds since January 1st to April 7th. And the moon will be just for the third quarter. It's bouncing in and out, which means we act independently in that archetype, meaning our actions are going to be, we'll look and see. But here it is in Cancer when it goes direct later this month on the 24th. And right now it is in Cancer. So Cancer wants security. It wants safety. It's looking at what our causes are, how to protect and defend. And it's our emotional foundation. It's a very strong Mars. It's looking out for our interests, you might say. Let's talk about the year of this wood snake. It's yin. And it starts on the 3rd, around the 4th, but it will be on the 3rd. And actually for next year too, it'll be on the 3rd of February in 2026. And it's a 12-year cycle, but in the same element, because there's 5, it's 60 years ago, 1965, a powerful year. That happens to also be when Uranus and Pluto were conjunct in Virgo. That is this other huge cycle that we're experiencing.
So anybody born in the mid-60s are going to have an interesting year, I think.
Yeah. But let's talk. Go ahead.
It's almost like your lunar year return, I guess you could say. The year of the wood snake is coming back.
That's absolutely right. It doesn't have to be in wood because there's metal, wood, earth, fire, water. It is a 5 system, and it's a huge. But we'll jump into what this means for us. It's yin, and meaning a female, a more receptive internal energy, rather than yang, which is external. But there's a reflection and a mystery involved with that, and survival, really, which is fascinating, thinking about the Taurus first quarter and all of the fixed energy. But it's new, it can grow, it can bend.
Along with the rat animal, snake is also, both these two animals are tied to people who are really strong in business, and these kinds of years can be very strong for economies and for business in general. Snakes are known to have like business-like minds.
Amanda?
It's a big shift from the previous year of the dragon, because the dragon's associated with Mars, the snake is associated with Venus. So there's more of a softness that's coming into this year, and it's not as fast-paced as it was with the dragon year. So it is a slowing down, it is more strategy. Where the dragon can use its flame to like burn through anything, the snake has to be a little more strategic, because it needs to like actually strike out and bite. To do that, you've got to be really sure about where you are with things. So there's that shift, and then there's the big shift of the snake shedding its skin, and this sense of letting go of the past, and how that really fits so well with this year, because we're having such a big turnover of planets changing sign. We've got Jupiter, which changes every year, but then Saturn and Neptune and Uranus all changing signs this year. And so the landscape is going to change. It's like we're turning the dial on a kaleidoscope, And it's just shifting our whole reality of how we see things.
Yes. And most interestingly, Amanda, we're going to ask you to reboot, refresh your energies because you're coming in. It's really like the rebirth that we're going to be experiencing. So, you may not be needed to do now is better. Okay. I'm looking at the little chart because you were talking, but it was like a distance. Absolutely correct what you're saying, because we're shedding the skin, and it is related to the dragon. It's called like the dragon, a form of the dragon, but the method is different. And I love how you're associating it with all the changes, that it is really a rebirth happening. There's a struggle of freedom, and beautiful. Thank you so much.
And another interesting thing about the snake, when it does shed its skin, it goes blind for a period of time, up to a week, a few days to a week. It's part of the process. This film comes over the whole body, including the eyes. And so it's kind of like that butterfly or the caterpillar that goes into that metamorphosis where you go into this liminal state. You don't know what's going to happen. So this snake energy of really kind of stepping back and just observing for a while is an important piece here.
I love this. Thank you. I know we each have our own Chinese signs if we want to divulge them. I'm an ox, so I really appreciate it. It's amazing how it counterbalances all of us. But
and I'm a snake. So
yes, and I was wanting to say that you speak of truth, but you're a fire snake, so it's very exciting. And John, as we know, you're a water rabbit.
Rabbit, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm Earth, so we have 3 of the elements right here. Okay, let's see what's going on. The soup we're living in. Yes. Well, the Lunar New Year and the Greenwood snake with Mars out of bounds is serious heat. Wasabi, it's a mustard family plant with horseradish, hot and spicy. Okay. Sabian symbol, 10 Aquarius. For the new moon, it's always 1 degree more. It's a man who for a time became the embodiment of a popular ideal, but made to realize that as a person, he's not this ideal. So, John, do you want...
That may be the longest Sabian symbol ever written.
I know it is, and I hate to read them all, but for the podcast people, it is important. So it's the need to deal with human beings as persons rather than as screens, which we project our dreams and ideals. Seems to me so much like the Libra that we just left of South Node.
This Sabian symbol also speaks to trends in fashion and impermanence, like trying this on, not liking it, then trying something else, not liking it. And a good animal totem for that would be the lemming, where they just follow each other even if they're going over a cliff. So, so be careful what you're following, right?
Yeah, and that's actually very Aries to re-identified. Just because it's starting this, and if it doesn't work, you start that, because it's becoming, it's initiating.
It's also Aquarian, where you're changing and I'm going to radically change now and be this now. I'm going to be
yes, that's right.
These different things.
Yeah.
And this is correct. It's self-revaluation. It's not eval. It's revaluation. Amanda.
Yeah, which revaluation is looking at the price of a good or product. So when we're talking about self-revaluation, we're looking at how are we valuing ourselves? Is there something that needs to shift there? And I like this Aquarius moon with this Sabian symbol, because to me, it's like there's potential for a break or shift in thinking. Like that break would be the Aquarius energy, so that you can kind of see yourself more clearly.
Yeah. And we will talk about the strength of this chart in itself, because Venus is going to be moving into Aries. Here we have... There's 2 stelliums.
We could say some things about Venus. Venus is value, right? The things we value. And it's right there with Neptune in the North Node. So she's coming into play. She's saying kind of important right now.
And I think it's important for the whole year, because Venus is the planet associated with the snake. So this is going to be, let's watch Venus and let's watch this Venus process. And she's been through this whole thing where she was lining up with Pluto a couple months ago and going through her transformation, and then moved into Pisces, where she is right now. And we'll talk about when she shifts into Aries a little bit later.
And that will be with a new Venus star point. I know that Louise Eddington next week will be talking about that on Planet Buzz, but that doesn't really happen until March. So yes, we will definitely talk about that next month.
Venus in Pisces is also exalted, meaning she's like the honored guest. So she's like the special planet now. When a planet's in its sign of exaltation, the others are like, okay, you're pretty special. We're going to take care of you a little bit. So Venus is feeling pretty good.
Well, there are these two stelliums, one with Aquarian and one with Pisces, as we're finishing up the last of the zodiac as these outer planets are going ahead in the next couple of months. But so strong, look at that Chiron and Eris, Chiron of our how we alchemize the wounds from our personal self into helping others, and inclusivity of Eris, because she was excluded, so she wants inclusivity, and it's in this very strong action-oriented direction with Mars. Yeah,
and that Chiron is coming into that square with Mars, which will be exact in the first quarter. So we won't talk too much about that right now, but there's some energies that we're going to be working through with it.
Okay, then I have this only once again to train or educate people about an aspect that we don't often talk about, the point of Thales. He was a great mathematician back in antiquity. Sacred geometry. It's a constructive aspect, and it has a focal planet beginning with an opposition, and one focal planet is trine and sextile to it, as this diagram shows. So in the new moon in Aquarius, start on January 29th, and last week, archetypal symbols went into great depth with the new moon, and we're beginning that in our own recap fashion to start off the phases, and that was at 7:35 a.m. Eastern Time. There are these great patterns. There's a mystic rectangle, which has automatically points of Thales. If you do the crisscross with the oppositions, all 4 points are so constructive. And here you have Pluto of transformation, and then you have Mars of it's out of bound in Cancer and strategy. It's pretty grand. And then along with that, we have this for supportive cause consciousness is the point of this, is to kind of draw together our cauldron of support that is always there through the actions that we've been working on. But there's grand trines. It's a flow that wants to keep operating, and a kite point, which is again a focal point connected to it.
There's a lot of beautiful support in this chart, and especially as part of those, it's not actually part of the grand trine, but it is Jupiter is trining the new moon. And so that's a wonderful support, and whatever is starting to seed at this point, even if it feels bumpy for you, there's some good reason for it to happen. Like there's a positive reason behind it. So look to that. Look to the support that you've got in your world to kind of help you through things.
Pallas Athena rules computers, and Uranus kind of rules technology, and they're trying to each other. So I'm wondering if we're going to see good use of technology at this time, because that'd be a good way to use it. I like those two planets talking to each other in a good way. I think that's really nice.
Good point. And one is in earth, one is in water as far as these grand trines. And those are very supportive too. Water and earth are a combination. We have oceans supported by earth. We have mud that creates a lot of plants and along the marshes. That's where life really flourishes. And looking at the focal points, Juno along with Uranus. So your points of saying about welcoming the changes and making lemonade out of lemons, if that's the case, perhaps. And look at who's with us. Juno is our alliances. Who are we married to? Maybe those will change. And maybe new will come in that'll be very strong.
One thing that I really like about this chart is that Pluto-Mercury conjunction. And maybe that's on the next slide. But it's like, there's potential here for us to get some messaging that is important for our souls. It's like these could be big things that are coming forward at this time. And it may be in your face. It may be subtle. It may be a slight murmur. But listen for it. And with that Venus conjunct Neptune conjunct the North Node, it's like there could be a lot of sensitivity to picking up on these things.
The way I see that, then we will jump ahead before we get to our little break. We're pausing, but that with Pluto and Mercury, it is in a flow to the South Node, meaning because the South Node has just entered Virgo and Mercury rules Virgo. And it could be that we need to change how we organize our routine, our day, whatever it is that we're using, or just how we, not necessarily the day and our routine, but how we structure what we categorize things. I think this is a theme that's going to go on and on. It's like every library has an index, there is an organization. Let's see what our soup we're living in is. The new moon at 9 degrees, 51 degrees Aquarius is from India, just where Amanda returned for. Amanda, tell about this.
So garam masala, it's a very complex spice mixture. So cumin, coriander, cardamom, black pepper, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg. And so just adding quite a bit of spice into the mix here. And just to know, we've got a couple comments from Amber, who gives some good ideas on remedies for planetary charts. So thanks for commenting.
Oh, boy.
Amber.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We are going kind of slow today, aren't we? We didn't even get to the first quarter. That's true. I forgot we were just and thank you, Amber. That's wonderful. We look forward to having people interact. And it is true. These all relate to foods and that. Well, perhaps we can go through it. We'll come back to this, okay? We'll take a break, we'll come back, and we'll start in with our crisis of action. Okay, thank you.
While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the Yang period of Aquarius, ruled modernly by Uranus, and Saturn in traditional astrology by the ancients. By leaving a cycle based on governing structures through both man-made and universal laws, Aquarius breaks established patterns, permitting the energy of freedom, just as its ruling planet Uranus spins on its side and orbits backwards. As a fixed air sign represented by the water bearer pouring the spirit of cosmic energy, Aquarius seeks to find like-minded, intuitively aligned souls to connect in social groups for the elevation and improvement of all.
Talk Cosmos brings insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for the soul growth with hour-long programs. Talk Cosmos weekly programs are also available to watch live on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page. While you're there, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons so you get the full Talk Cosmos experience. Or if you'd rather listen to the show archives with audio only, the entire podcast collection since 2018 is available on most podcast carriers. And to find out about upcoming programs, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com. So grab your coffee, tea, or kombucha and enjoy the show.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to the Ananda Institute of Living Yoga, we cover the world of animals. This week, February 9th, it's Best Neuroenergetic Balancing, Rasmussen Reset, and Energy Code Sunday. Dr. Nels Rasmussen and Linda Rasmussen join us to take your phone calls, and together they can help you or your animal friends with emotional, behavioral, or physical issues. Hope you can join us and plan to call in for your free remote treatments. Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Going against the grain has never been this much fun. Alternative Talk 1150.
Okay, here we are. It's the first quarter moon, February 5th, right around the corner. And that's at 3:01:53 seconds a.m. Eastern Time, Washington. So the Sabian symbol is 17 Taurus, a symbolic battle between swords and torches, refusing the keynote to depend upon the past. The seeker turns warrior, fighting the eternal great war. So this is about spiritual light within versus ego, will, material, intellectual world. It's a polarization of values. And we won't go into a huge bit as we're trying to move along, but go ahead, John. Do you have a comment?
Well, I just think of just a tournament, rivalry and competition, kind of the things you already said. But I love the image of the swords and the torches. I just think of the light fighting the dark,
Oh, yeah,
right?
Yes, exactly. I like that. Well, let's look at what the action aspects are in this crisis in action as the sun is waxing, increasing, and we're at that action point of a square, which is just really, it's internal. I mean, not internal, but it's us going out with some actions. And several features that are really big. One is this nodal opposition by itself, because the North Node that we're going towards to balance what might be obstructing us from our collective South Node of the details and fixing things. However, healing, it's all in healing. So Virgo and Pisces are very big with that. But here especially at the same degree in Neptune, it's really looking at what are the visions that magnetize us, what enthuses us, that makes life magical. That's very much a vibrational astrology viewpoint.
How do we go with grace into what we are karmically being called to do? The North Node being that call of to better our souls and to move our souls forward. And Neptune says, do with grace, tie in with infinite spirit, whatever your belief is, and trust your spirit. Seems very strong right now.
Yeah, and the unity of Pisces, which is the collective.
And recognize that other people are doing that as well, and to respect that and give people the room for their growth as well.
Perhaps we should look at that major aspect that is another action with, as you had brought up, Amanda, I think, with Mercury. But here Mercury has moved because it is quick moving, and it's with the sun in Aquarius.
And yeah, I think this is taking whatever messages we got during that new moon period, and we're starting to integrate them into ourselves so that we can kind of live them and shine them out into the world, whatever this new wisdom is. And just to kind of ground this into where we're at in this month, this first moon period starts this coming Wednesday.
Yes.
And so right now we're actually in the new moon period that started last Wednesday. And if anyone has any experience of what that new moon period has been, if you're resonating with what we said in the new moon, go ahead and add some comments, and we'll take a look.
Yeah. Well, it is, I think also with Mars, it's wanting to activate or alchemize the wounds, or else it's bringing them up to us so that we can start re-identifying them with our repurposing, because some with Venus in Aries, which is, look at Venus right now. Where is she? Yes, she just entered Aries, just at that moment of beginning. We're initiating another cycle of birth that later when she retrogrades, which is every 19 months, it's not real often. So but this year we have Mars retrograde, Venus, and then of course Mercury, which always does. So it's as we're going into these big cycles of outer planets into new birth, which Aries always represents, as we were commenting, I think it was Amanda and John, of the whole into our individualized starting point. We really want to figure out what is it within us that we're hanging us up?
Mars is, with its retrograding through Cancer, a sign that it doesn't like. It's in fall there. Mars is uncomfortable there. It's having to just look at emotionally where he is. What's the fight about? It really wants to get into Leo where it feels more comfortable, but has a lot of self-work to do and healing to do. It's that square with Chiron. So I think at this time during this cycle, this is the time to literally think of the wounds that you have and how you can heal them, and maybe to be in them and process them. You know what I mean?
Yes, because we can remake our story and we can redefine it. It's part of us, and emotions are crucial to how we manifest, how we bring that attraction to us. So, and it needs to be clear. And by looking at the beautiful thing about Mars is it cuts it away because it wants to move forward, and it will. Shall we go on to what support? Go ahead, Amanda.
Well, I wanted to also say with Mars retrograde, it's like we're in a first quarter moon, which is about taking action. And this is a hard space for a Mars retrograde to be in, to try and take action. With its square Chiron, there may be some wounding that comes up, as kind of John was talking about. We may get emotionally triggered a bit. But Mars being in Cancer, it doesn't move straight or in like a linear fashion. It has to go sideways, right? The crab moves sideways, and Mars is out of bounds. So finding those alternative ways, getting creative and strategic about how we are taking action, and taking that snake energy of really stepping back and getting strategic. There's so much about being strategic this month.
And there's help on the way. Look at this. Look at the strengths, the flowing abilities. Now you can get stuck. You can go to, everything has its balance point, right? But sometimes a pendulum needs to swing. And here we have great connections. Just looking at that, there's so much connection throughout
Mars
everything.
is trine Neptune, and a minute ago we were talking about how Neptune is with the North Node, so guiding our karmic path in a spiritual way, expecting more grandness and grace. And Mars is maybe creating a fight to do that. That's like the one nice aspect that Mars is getting, which is very great.
Independence is assertiveness. Yes.
And Venus going into Aries too. It's like, this is a big shift out of this very sensitive space that's not really action oriented and not necessarily great at initiating or taking care of itself. And Venus in Aries, it's kind of coming forward as the warrior, and it's like, I'm gonna start going for it. But with Mars retrograde, you got to do it a little bit differently. And so I love this Neptune North Node conjunction. It's like there's a potential here to take action and focus on the vision of what you want and holding that steady so that it's ready for when you can like the snake kind of like grasp for it, you know?
Yeah, I'm just thinking if I mixed up or something about kite as Juno as a focal point. I don't think so. It has angel wings. There's just a lot of dynamic business in there. But as far as a kite, I'm not sure there is a kite. Oh, yes, there is. But and it is Juno. I'm looking at Juno. Juno, our relationships. It's all getting back to who are we pairing with. Let's look at the soup. We don't have a lot of time, folks. And I don't mean to be stressful, but I want to say something about the
previous chart. Can we look at something really quick?
Okay.
You can see that it's trying to become a grand sextile, but the lower right side isn't ready to make that. So I just kind of wish it was there.
Oh, I know. Well, let's see what
Almost.
happens. Because
Yeah.
the soup we're living with is this first quarter moon at 16 degrees, 46 degrees Taurus, is like kind of swimming around. It's a squid. It's calamari. But you have to cook it very fast, like within a minute, or it gets very chewy. But you can marinate it. So it could be that all our sauces and things will marinate this, and could be pretty interesting. We are excited about this new moon and the year of the snake. So pardon us, we're a little behind, but hey, everything has its right timing. Like Mars in Cancer, the process is correct. Amandamoonastrology at Gmail. John Chinworth, skypathastro.com. Archerstars at Gmail, and myself at Talk Cosmos. And to remind people, I am on Liz Mouchette's Astrology Star Sisters. We just did one about Uranus in Gemini that you can find on my playlist. And for Talk Cosmos, it's still close to the beginning of the year, and there's some wonderful features, programs here that tell about this year looking ahead, and you can find that. And the last week was about the current times with U.S. global currents. And next week will be about the Venus retrograde and the Venus star point with Louise Eddington on Planet Buzz and Dr. Tad. So thank you. I always want to remind people we so appreciate you subscribing and supporting us and giving us feedback, like Amanda's commenting on people like Amanda that did. Amanda, was it another Amanda?
Amber, there was an Amber.
Amber and Amanda. Okay. Let's look at the full moon, the Sabian symbol, 25 degrees Leo, a camel seen crossing a vast, forbidding desert. It's self-sufficiency in the face of a long, exhausting adventure. So it is about survival, inclusive realm of existence, releasing that old to be emotionally self-contained until we get to this new world, self-reliance in a nutshell. And here we are at the full moon.
And this period starts Wednesday, February 12th. Moon in Leo. And we all know Leo can sometimes be a little dramatic. So we just want to make sure that we check ourselves and we don't get too overconfident with things either. That's sometimes can be Leo as well. But there's just a really nice creative energy to that Leo moon.
It will be. And it's a strong action, again, with the moment at hand, Uranus, that is very much looking at those messages again in Mercury, that's now connected with how are we nurturing ourselves to get through perhaps grief. I'm looking at the archetype of Ceres, that is a life-giving force of food, in the mythology, but also can embrace those dynamics. But it is a cycle of feeding ourselves. How are we feeding ourselves best? And with the moon in Leo, to be that beautiful, creative manifestation that we so want. Because perhaps, would you say that if we remember that there's others involved, then our Leo can really flourish?
Yeah, and that Uranus it wants us to break free from something that patterning that it isn't correct for us anymore. And sometimes it can do that in ways that are unexpected, that may feel a little bit jarring. It's possible. It doesn't have to be that way, but it's the energy of the hurricane. So if nothing's happening in your outer world, look to see what is potentially shifting within and what things are crumbling or kind of like being pulled up out of the ground and flying away.
John, did you
how to thinking like maintaining, you mentioned the hurricane, being the eye of the hurricane where it's just really calm, all the adjustments happening around you, and how we're going to land, I don't know, but I'm going to maintain here,
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention with Sun and Ceres and Mercury together up there in Aquarius, I love Mercury, the mind. Ceres could represent the body and nurturing the body, and the Sun represents spirit. So the three parts of being human together in Aquarius. It's very humanitarian, you know?
Yes. And what you just said too reminds me of that Sabian symbol of a self-reliance emotionally. And so you're right in remembering that our body, it is part of our whole, because Aquarian can get caught into thoughts. And
that image of the camel crossing the desert and the Sahara, these caravans go hundreds and hundreds of miles across the desert, and they have to get from point A to point B, and they just drive forward, and they have everything needed to contain themselves, like for the night, to set up the tents, you know, and then they pack it up and they march forward. It's kind of like that kind of energy, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Looking at what connects and flows to support, always in balance with our actions. Here again, amazingly, this is it's almost a 6-pointed star. I'm not sure what that means, but there's 2 flowing triangles. I think what it is that angel wings that you brought up, John, that Sue Tompkins talks about, where it's so constructive between many. Let's just look, there's many connections. So one thing is going to lend itself to the next and bridge us through, I think, through strategy and through thinking about what's essential and what is attracting our magicness of the world.
Angel wings are, the symbol is also represents a little bit of flight. So being able to lift above a little bit and see what's happening below. So it gives you some observation of what's happening.
I really like Juno here in this angel wing configuration as well. Okay. There may be some partners that we have or partnerships that form that can really help us through whatever the issues are that are coming for us.
The soup. What soup are we in with this full moon? Well, here we got a little bit stretched out. Kale, the mental. Broccoli, some have fans and some don't. And I think it was because of Mercury. But when I was reading about broccoli, it did say that it's emotionally supportive. So you can double check about that. Or perhaps as I think...
do we have to sound in about broccoli? Because I love it.
Oh, do you? Okay.
I like broccoli.
I can eat it all day long. I love it.
Well, sage, there's fans and there's not fans. We have sage, which is great wisdom, Pallas Athena. So we're going on in this soup. It's adding, we'll find out what recipe we have. Let's look at the last third quarter. Now we have, as the sun moves into the next sign of Pisces, it's a mutable force where it hasn't quite happened yet, but the moon and the sun are at that third quarter where it's half on the other side of the moon, and it's a crisis in consciousness. So we've really taken into a lot of
bit of what just happened in this cycle. Let's retreat into Pisces and, I don't know, take care of ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, be gentle and and maybe just giving yourself that space to really integrate everything that has happened, because the previous 2 moon cycles, there was moon square Uranus and moon conjunct Uranus. So, there's big stuff coming up here. So there is a lot to integrate and to work through. And I think this whole month, it's like, focus on your vision. What do you want?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, like in every chart, there's a piece to that. And yes. All of these planets in Pisces, it's like, go there, like really feel into it.
Allow yourself to dream and imagine. And I was thinking with Mars and Cancers, it's digesting. This, I think John has a thought, but let's also talk about the Sabian. Go ahead, John.
Well, actually, Mars that square with Chiron weakening, I guess, and that feels kind of good. But look at that really strong trine to Vesta. Mars is ready after doing all this cleansing and dealing with the emotions. It's ready to rebuild the fire and find what's important. And Vesta's like, here's your flame. Let's go forward. That's really a beautiful aspect right now.
Yeah.
Or at that time.
What we're doing here is so beautiful because we're looking at the whole chart rather than dividing what might be action versus the other, which I really appreciate. And we're mixing it all up as far as we'll do the Sabian last. But what you're just bringing up to me is that inconjunct, which is also called quincunx, 150 degrees before it gets to the culmination of the full moon. So here you have the South Node in Virgo having a bit of a difficulty with, I think it's the Sun and Ceres, because as you're bringing up all these new stuff that from the rest of the lunar cycle, how do we really reconstruct our daily lives, and what is it that we're fixing or healing? And it's really something to work on. And very likely here it says is Sabian symbol for 3 degrees Sagittarius is two men playing chess, the transcendent ritualization of conflict. It's in a dualistic world. There's contests between polarized forces, but by being aware of the whole situation, you have interplay. So it's more objective, just like you were saying, John, of the basic realities and interpersonal, such as Amanda, you're saying.
Yeah, and that there is a grand trine, a grand water trine here with that Mars and that Vesta and that Mercury and Saturn. And there is a lot of fire to it. It's a water grand trine, but there's this fire energy, like this, something's getting lit up for us. And with that moon and Sag, like that just adds to it. So we're integrating, but we are really preparing for the next phase as well. It's like, okay, I learned this. Now let's get going on the next one.
Yeah, water and fire, once again, isn't that fascinating just from the sun and the moon? Because the whole thing of going between Aries and Pisces, it's a theme that's going to keep coming up, and it's really birth. It is where, it creates steam, it makes the clouds. It was in the ocean where volcanoes happened and embryos, or not embryos, but little microorganisms happened. I can go between the two slides, John, if you had a thought here about bringing up one versus the other. Here's that grand trine that we were talking. So much is trine and going forward that wants to support, whether it's the moon with how we feel, a value.
Pluto and Pallas are together here as well. A lot about like leaning into the strategy. This is the last quarter. So what are we learning from this? How are we going to build on our strategy going forward as a way to empower ourselves?
Yeah. Venus as the strategist. Well, we have a soup, and this time we had added a dollop of sour cream. That sort of blends things together, cuts some of that spiciness. Cilantro, it's a part of the parsley family, Venus, and it's very big in Latin food. Lemongrass, that draws positive vibrations, and it's mental and spiritual. Corn, because it's talk about this, and garbanzo beans. How do we think of corn?
I think it was because of the sun, and it's yellow and it's light, and it's a staple around the world. Gives life. No, known for commanding life or giving life.
Well, this is the soup ingredients, and I know we had one that was going to create it, but looking at this could be a bit challenging, but we'll find out if anybody does. Calamari and garbanzo beans. I tried to organize at least some of the commonalities. Kale, broccoli, and corn. Wasabi and garam masala. And I know Amanda has some ideas that this conflict may not resolve, but we have sage, cilantro, lemongrass, and the famous sour cream.
So please let us know if you decide to make this soup. We want to know how it turns out.
It could be a good marination, though, just for calamari.
Or make a variation that doesn't have everything.
Yeah, that's right. You could admit there's no...
It's inspiration use it as inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, people, for subscribing and liking once again. And here's a playlist. And let's just talk through the music because we're getting close to the end here. Well, what a treat.
Yeah, here's my final thoughts on the month. Tune to your soul messaging, create, hold, and tune to the visioning for your new reality, get strategic, and find out-of-the-box ways to take action.
Yes, and allow yourself to be in this new moment, because the overwhelm is only there if we think of everything, but just coming with our heart in one direction will lead. There's bound to be something new coming. John?
I would want to add, just allow the processing to happen, whatever you're going through. All things must pass, and be in some kind of touch with an infinite spirit of some sort that can support your spiritual growth.
Oh, yes, Greenwood Snake. We will rebirth and evolve. Thank you, everybody, so much. Blessings.
Thank you for joining an insightful conversation on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her panel of guests awaken consciousness by connecting soul growth patterns with astrology's energetic cycles. Be sure to tune in next week, same time, same place, to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.